Welcome to the Same Side Selling Podcast. I am your host, Ian Altman. The tragedy of marketing automation, especially on LinkedIn, is our topic for today. Let me cover some of the key areas that I think are absolutely a disaster on LinkedIn today. And LinkedIn can be a great environment to connect, to see trends that are happening in the industries that you're focused on, to build authentic connections. And like most things in life, if given an opportunity, marketing could figure out a way to ruin it. So the first thing is examples of people just not doing research. So let me give you an example of some of the things that I have heard most recently in terms of messages that I've received on LinkedIn. And it'll give you an idea of people just doing no research whatsoever. Here's one recently. Would love to help you overcome the challenge of sales and growing your business. Have you ever considered writing a book? To which I usually respond, you mean another one? Because most people know me pretty well for same-side selling, my prior book, Upside Down Selling, and same-side selling being as though it's now in its second edition and multiple reprints, has achieved enough success that someone should be able to realize that, if nothing else, from looking at my LinkedIn profile and seeing that, yes, I'm already an author, but be that as it may. Or my favorite is the ones where, and I get this on a pretty regular basis, we know that most authors and speakers like you are petrified of sales conversations, which being as though the subject or the title line in my profile on LinkedIn mentions B2B sales expert or alleged expert or something along those lines, might make it so that if they'd done a little bit of research, they wouldn't look so silly doing that. So I'm flattered because I very often get people reaching out to connect to me on LinkedIn. And when people do so authentically, I'm actually very interested in learning more about them, learning about their business, and seeing where there could be any sort of areas to learn from one another. But just like in a networking event, you wouldn't want to reach out to somebody who's just interested in selling you something. If you were at a networking event, you would want to connect with people where you have some common interests, where they're advocating for you and maybe you could advocate for them, where maybe you learn a little bit more about each other's business to see where other people might benefit from your respective expertise. Too often on LinkedIn, people miss that. So I get these invitations to connect all the time, and almost universally, what I do is I respond by saying, thanks so much for reaching out. What is it that prompted your connection? And I get one of two responses most typically. The first one is I get no response whatsoever. So somebody used marketing automation to reach out to a bunch of people. Right after I got the connection request, I responded and said, hey, thanks for reaching out. What inspired your connection? And I get nothing back. And I wait a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes I'll send a snarky note where I'll say to them, so obviously what sparked your initial interest was just marketing automation went awry, because that's what it feels like. And of course, what people don't realize is what impression does that leave with me about not only them, but the company they represent. So now I'm thinking, well, these people are just taking a shotgun approach. They're not even paying attention to people's responses. So they've done no research whatsoever. Someone said, just go out and build connections on LinkedIn. They reach out to people, and then they don't even think about responding when someone replies to them and said, hey, what inspired your connection? The second type of response I get is the people who do respond, and they respond with just an overt sales pitch out of the chute that says, well, we do XYZ, ABC. I'd love to send you a list of our prices. And it's all these things that are just everything wrong with sales. Because they're not saying to me, here are the types of problems that we solve. Here's who we help the most. Do you know of one or two people who might be a fit for that? They come right out of the chute trying to sell stuff to me, not even knowing if I could be a potential fit or not. And so it's a tragic thing because people don't really get the reputation destruction that happens when they do that. So what should you do instead? Well, first, do some research. You can see people's activity on LinkedIn. You can search based on job title. You can search based on company. You can start liking and sharing their posts. So that way they all of a sudden say, who is this person who keeps liking and sharing my posts? You can make comments, not about how to sell stuff, but instead constructive comments. I had someone the other day who posted on LinkedIn that they had attended a program I did in Delaware, and they went from being the lowest performing division of the company to the highest performing and increased everything across the board by over 60%. And someone actually posted a comment on there that said, hey, if you want sales training, you should contact us, which is some other company. And I thought to myself, how tone deaf do you have to be that if someone just said, oh, we got amazing results with this one person, that someone else is going to say, oh, we have this free sales training, contact us. It was pretty pathetic. And I thought about leaving it up. I deleted it because I knew my audience would trash these people, and I was trying to save them the embarrassment. So the idea is that when people post things, share, comment, constructive things like, hey, that's congratulations, you guys did this. Wow, this looks fantastic. Looks like an exciting place to be. And then don't just reach out with your own self-interest of what it is that you want to sell, but instead think about how you might be able to help. Think about, oh, I noticed you guys are doing X, Y, and Z. I've got someone who I know who might be able to help in that area. Would you like me to make an introduction? Or, hey, I saw you guys were doing this. We struggle with that as well. I'm happy to have a conversation about what we learned in that process. Holding back your desire to try and sell something. The biggest problem that most people in sales have is premature presentation. So they feel this desire to, as soon as they connect with anybody, they want to start pitching their products and services. Stop doing that. Instead, think about how you can authentically connect with other people. If you were at a networking event and as soon as someone walked up to you, you said, let me show you a demo or give you a presentation, you would have no friends. And that would be a good thing because other people would be making good, sound judgments. Instead, build that authenticity. So don't in any way fall victim to this terrible use of marketing automation that makes your customers feel like they're being spammed to death. Instead, take the time to do a little bit of research. Take the time to authentically connect with them, figure out areas where you can add value, and then when it becomes an opportunity for you to talk about what it is that you do, don't talk about what you sell. Talk about the types of problems that you solve, the types of clients that you work with, and you can always ask them, hey, here's the kind of thing that people come to us to help solve. Do you know of one or two companies that might be experiencing that who could benefit from what it is that we do? And keep in mind that only about half the people we talk to are a good fit. I don't yet know that we can help them. But if you know of one or two people, I'm happy to take a look to see if we might be able to help. And that element of disarming might be a way. So instead of falling into the traps of marketing automation, instead, you might be able to connect with people authentically and use LinkedIn as a platform to build your reputation rather than destroy it. If there are topics you'd like to hear, drop me a note to ian@ianaltman.com, and I will see you on the next episode of the Same Side Selling Podcast. So long.